So as far as my journey here on sneaker YouTube, that actually began towards the end of 2018, which I remember at that time seeing dudes like Tony D2, Wow, Bull, as well as Seth Fowler dropping content. But as far as from like a major media outlet, Complex sneakers always stood out. You see, I'm a kid that grew up from the Double XL, the Source magazine days. So kind of towards that end of that era, I remember seeing Complex magazines sitting on store shelves, which they were kind of pivoting into this new digital media space, which as far as their early sneaker YouTube content, that would consist of doing like street interviews, interviewing people, you know, lining up for a new sneaker release, or like say like the latest Supreme drop. I remember that dude Rex Hogan out there in the streets. They also had the whole Joe LaPuma sneaker shopping with Complex, which had some early cool sneaker celebrity shopping moments. Of course, everybody loved the whole Jim Jones episode. And then you have Full Size Run, which upon the early days, they did go through some different hosts and everything. But from when I started watching the show, I remember seeing Trinidad James, which at that time, he was kind of coming off the backlash of being labeled as a one-hit wonder with the All Gold Everything record. But he kind of regained some notoriety here in the sneaker world, which he had his own sneaker YouTube show at the time. I think it was called like First and 15th or something like that. But as far as what Trinidad James was offering, he was kind of giving more so like the streets perspective, where then you had the dude like Matt Welty, which he was kind of giving like undercover vibes as far as like his interactions with Trinidad James. They were kind of awkward. You know what I'm saying? I think he kind of represented more of like the Adidas Special type of side of things. But I think kind of the glue that brought everything together definitely would have to be that boy Brendan Dunne, which he was like the kind of like sneaker nerd. He had all the information. He was cool though. Like he was the dude which say you could invite to the cookout, whereas like a dude like Matt Welty might not show up. That boy Brendan Dunne, he was definitely gonna pull up. He might have like a goofy fit, but he was definitely gonna pull up. So as far as Full Size Run, eventually it came to an end. Complex, they kind of went through some different changes here and there. You know, they kept the sneaker shopping segment going on. They then transitioned to the podcast with the Complex Sneaker Podcast, which still had Matt Welty. They still had Brendan Dunne. They added Joe LaPuma to the mix. But who would have thought that just like a couple of weeks ago, as far as the Complex Sneaker Podcast, that would be the last episode. As this past weekend, Brendan Dunne posted this to social media saying, decided 2 weeks back that after almost 11 years, and that it was time to leave Complex. Today was my last day at the company. If you supported anything we worked on, please know that I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. Sneaker Man activities will resume at the big new job I'm starting next month. So most definitely huge salute to that boy Brendan Dunne. While I didn't always agree with all of his takes, just like you guys probably don't agree with all of my takes, I definitely respect his journey here in the sneaker world. And I appreciate the fact that he kind of took things from like more of a journalistic perspective, you know, kind of something that I like to incorporate into my content as well. So he's definitely appreciated in what he's brought here to the sneaker game. And as far as his next job opportunity, you know, I can't wait to see what he's got in store. And according to the tweet, he says Sneaker Man activities will resume. So it seems like he's still going to be, you know, continuing to do his thing here in the sneaker space. So that's really dope. As far as his history, his LinkedIn profile, which I know is kind of like stalkerish to look at, but that boy got his start graduating from University of Oregon in 2012, jumped right into the paint at Sneaker News, and then worked for Complex, where it looks like he spent almost the last 11 years. So he went straight from college to Sneaker News to Complex. And all he's done is, you know, worked here in the sneaker space. So as I mentioned, can't wait to see, you know, what the future holds for Brendan Dunne. And again, a huge salute to him. Now, in other sneaker news, I wanted to touch on this new Ma Maniére release, which they just announced today. So they got a cool visual right here, which I want to take a moment to like take the whole visual in right here. But as far as the sneakers, you got a pair of Air Force Ones, as well as Air Max 95s, which here in 2025 to be those two models seem to be two of Nike's premier models. You know, some of the dopest collabs we've seen on Air Max 95, some dope OGs returning, and same with the Air Force One, some really cool collaborations as well. We've seen Ma Maniére drop an Air Force One, as well as a couple different Air Max 95s, but as far as these upcoming ones, man, these are really cool. Now, I know the Air Force Ones, they're gonna get a lot of criticism for just essentially being a all triple white pair Air Force Ones, but I think they kind of cater towards the Ma Maniére fan base, and it was really cool. Y'all just saw it. We got a little teaser of those Ma Maniére Jordan 5s, which apparently have been delayed. But I think with this whole trailer and everything, with all of the shoes kind of together, it kind of brings more value to the shoes. Like, let's say if they were to just drop the Air Force Ones by themselves, I think people would have hated on them. But here in a pack with them Air Max 95s, which go absolutely crazy. I think it brings a little more value. And as far as them Jordan 5s, I think it's got people waiting on that release as well. So as far as the details on here, it looks like these will be dropping via EQL, which the raffle has just opened up today. You guys will have until the 23rd to go ahead and enter. And as far as the information right here, it doesn't mention anything about a sneakers app release. So we'll see how that goes. Here's a little shot of the Air Force Ones, which are looking real premium. I know they are going to get criticized for just being so plain Jane, but I kind of get it. And then here you got the Air Max 95s, which again share the same similar color palette that we're used to with these Ma Maniére releases. Almost kind of look similar to what some of the pairs that they've dropped in the past, but I still ain't gonna take away from the fact that it's a dope sneaker right here. So 2 cool releases available right now as we speak. EQL raffle is live. And then before we bounce, guys, I did want to touch on the latest Salehe Bembury New Balance, which they're teaming up here on the 1000. So you guys see what's going on right here. Salehe did tease these previously, which I would have to say the 1000 wouldn't be my favorite New Balance model. And I mean, I'm even gonna be honest, y'all, like with Salehe, what he's been dropping lately, hasn't really been anything that has really caught my eye like that. But what I am gonna say about this model right here is that the colors, you know, are unconventional. They definitely fall in line with what Salehe was doing, but I ain't gonna lie, this is something I could see like Yeezy doing back when they was with Adidas. Like, it's giving that kind of vibe. And although these are crazy, like, I want to not like them, but I still like them, man. This is a shoe which I would definitely rock. So as far as the upcoming release, I think these are probably going to have mixed opinions, but I think he did a pretty cool job, you know, adding his flair, you know, what we're used to from Salehe, but interpreting it here on the 1000. And who knows, you know, once they do the official rollout and everything, they might have some cool elements that are added to, you know, spice things up a bit. So that's all I got for you guys today. Of course, we did see a restock go down via JD Sports finish line this morning for the Jordan 14 Ferraris. They also threw in some leftover pairs of the white cement 4s. I even think they dropped the Bread 11 low as well. So let me know if any of y'all had success on that. They also did have the exclusive early access, so you guys can pre-order or reserve your Jordan 5 grape. So I'm thinking chances weren't too great as far as that restock, but it was still worth your while to check it out. As far as those Ferraris, one of the more limited Jordans that we've seen. Resellers are loving them joints as they're continuing to skyrocket in value, or are they? I don't really know. I ain't been checking the value or nothing like that, but dope classic Jordan release that people were excited to see return. So while they may not be for everybody, that's definitely a shoe that had its audience and people are excited to get them, and still people are looking to get them. So hopefully we see another restock, maybe a sneakers app drop, because it just felt like that drop was just too limited. So let me know if any of y'all had success on that drop. Drop your feedback on these new 1000s from New Balance and Salehe. I would love to know what y'all think about these Ma Maniéres, because I think the visual right here adds so much value to the release, which I think at one point people were ready to just write off. But seeing how they're bringing everything together with the visual, the collection of sneakers, I love what they're doing over there. And then we're still waiting on them 5s, which look really cool right here in this teaser. And then of course that boy Brendan Dunne. Let me know what y'all think about him departing from Complex. Is there something going on behind the scenes over there? I didn't really want to get into anything too messy like that, but just definitely respect, you know, his journey throughout the years. Can y'all believe it? 11 years almost at the company, straight out of college. That boy definitely a legend here in the sneaker media space. So salute to Brendan Dunne, and we'll wait to see what the future holds for him. So that's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Of course, I'll catch you guys next time for the latest updates. In the meantime, stay safe, stay blessed. If you guys enjoyed the video, you know, help support the channel by smashing the like button, and let me know if y'all made it all the way through the end by dropping a salute in the comments. JA, catch you guys next time. I'm out. Love.